Hello and welcome to Bernama Property Hot Seat presented by Sun Surya. I'm Vincent and together with me is my co-host Kristan. Together with us today, we have two very important VIP. Tan Sri Datuk Tiew Chiang, President of Persatuan Pengurusan Kompleks Malaysia, PPKM, and Mr. Ganesh Kumar, PCOM Chairman. Welcome, gentlemen.
Thank you.
Gentlemen, thank you for taking up the hot seat today. And of course, both of you represent very important element in property investment in that sense that today we are no longer talking about service economy, we're talking about digital economy that's relevant from PCOM. And obviously, in any complex property management, it's very important to give value to the property investment itself. So take it over, Vincent.
Yes, gentlemen. Now, gentlemen, there are many property owners, property developers, and property enthusiasts and entrepreneurs who would like to hear from both of you. We are talking about the bricks and mortar, and we're also talking about the online over here. Now, we shall begin, yeah? Now, Tan Sri, there's a claim or hearsay that there are too many retail commercial centers or shopping malls in the market. And as a result, the occupancy and rental in the industry has actually dropped, and to be exact, drastically. What is your view and what's your comment?
Well, we are in a slowing economy. And this is natural that retail openings will also slow down. But this is the nature of business. It's cyclical. So when the cycle upturn comes, the thing will come back to the normal take-up rate.
So does it mean that actually it is quite true that the occupancy has actually dropped in the overall general industry? We're not just referring to the top 10 good malls itself. In the whole Malaysia, we have hundreds of shopping malls. Is it really a situation now that the rental and occupancy has actually dropped?
Well, the drop in some of the malls are more than others, but so far overall it's quite marginal. And of course, we always treat our tenants as partners. And if we find the tenant needs a bit of help, we will have to adjust the rent or whatever, like promotional rates or something like that.
Would this actually mean that property developers should actually rethink and not build shopping malls in the next 3 to 5 years?
I think developers will normally do their homework, do their research, and would build accordingly. What we need more relevant now is information. More information on what is being developed. If you have a master plan to follow, it'll be even better. So I think going forward, we should have proper master plans being gazetted and also planning information being readily available to developers and to actually the public in general to know exactly where we are.
Tan Sri, I hear you that you're talking about cyclical and everything. So I understand cyclical, yes, you know, every 10 years, every 12 years, you have an up and you have a down. But really, is it really cyclical right now? Because I want to put it to Ganesh at this moment, because PCOM being the user of some of these real estate spaces, the retail spaces, really, are we looking an up again, or is it changing? I'm looking at transformation. The use have changed because we really enter in this era of digital economy. What say you, Ganesh?
No, I think the usage of property in the digital economy will change.
Right.
Where historically there was a requirement for malls, as more and more people start buying online, it doesn't mean that they don't keep their products somewhere.
Sure.
They still need to buy their products and keep their products somewhere.
Right.
Whether it's in a mall or in a warehouse space. So for example, with e-commerce growing tremendously across Southeast Asia, the requirement for warehouse space will just increase even more.
Sure.
And so that will kind of, I would say, complement or even supplant the requirement for malls. But that doesn't mean you don't need malls at all.
Right.
Right? Because people will still want multiple channels to buy online.
Sure.
The future is omni-channel commerce.
Okay.
What does omni-channel commerce mean? Omni-channel commerce means that people buy online, they'll also buy offline, they'll touch and feel the products offline, and then they'll actually, after that, they'll buy the products online.
Yes, point noted. Now, Tan Sri, now I just want to clarify on this one. You see, in the commercial development and also in office management itself, which is directly under the PPKA's administration, you know, the property managers, you manage the shopping malls, right. You manage the office towers and the blocks and under the mixed development. Now, can you just share with us the challenges and the opportunities of commercial shops as compared to shopping malls?
Well, both can coexist. In a lot of circumstances, the startups and those who have specialty operations, they prefer to start up in a shop house.
Yes.
Because they can have more flexibility in the operating hours and what have you. But as you grow and you want to expand, usually people would have to move up to a mall where you get better exposure and you get more clientele.
I see.
Yeah.
So it's a different segment and it's upgrading itself.
Right.
Now, Tan Sri, specifically in Malaysia, it's very unique. We have strata title retail malls, strata title shopping malls. We're seeing that a lot of strata title shopping malls suffer, not just lately, but in the past 5, 10, 15 years. And they suffer really badly in terms of occupancies. And therefore, some malls are only 20, 30, 40% once it becomes occupancy, once it becomes strata title. What is your opinion as the president of the association? Are you seeing this? Is this a reality? Would it go even worse?
Well, I think managing a mall is a very complex business. You have to position your mall, you have to fit your tenant mixes and what have you. In a strata title mall, the managing of the mall is many times more challenging. Because you have a lot of owners and you cannot get consensus on the tenant mix, for instance. So I think the retailers now also, through experience, now realize that it is more certain and better managed to go into a non-strata title mall.
To go to a non-strata title mall
yes.
itself.
Yeah.
So are you saying that basically that the strata title mall's success is very much depending on the complex management people? Or is it actually a wrong design from the very first day itself? It shouldn't be a strata title development at all.
Well, there are many types of buildings that can be strata title, offices, even hotels. But for strata management of a mall to be strata title is one of the most complex ones, yes. And most difficult to manage.
Okay.
But now there's a possibility of when the developer sells a strata management, strata mall, there is a contract back,
yes.
For a manager to manage the whole mall,
okay.
As a condition of sale.
Tan Sri, please hold on to your thoughts.
Yeah.
Very thankful with that. We will resume our discussion once we come back from the break.
Nak cari hadiah untuk Hari Ibu Bapa? Ada Jintel. Jintel Display Star dengan teknologi Moon Hand Massage yang terkini memberi urutan yang menyenangkan dan selesa. Sesuai untuk ibu bapa kesayangan anda. Bawa Jintel balik rumah, ibu dan ayah pasti suka.
Jintel.
Welcome back to Bernama Property Hot Seat presented by Sun Surya. This is Kristan and together with me is Vincent. We are both hosting the show and today we have very important guests as you hear from first segment just now. We have Tan Sri Dato Tiew Chiang representing the Complex Management of Association of Malaysia, the PPK. And of course we have Mr. Ganesh Bangah, the National ICT Association of Malaysia, the PCOM, right? So Ganesh, back to our questions. From the first segment just now, you were mentioning about digital economy requirement is very different. We talk about omni-channel. That's what we've been proposing. While we want to learn a little bit more about omni-channel, tell us the usage right now. Is it means that for real estate spaces, for real property spaces, we are looking at lesser and lesser?
No, I do not believe that the usage of real estate will get lesser and lesser.
Right.
The formats required will change, as I mentioned earlier, from shopping complexes to warehouses.
Sure.
Right, so the format of requirements may change. From, just now Tan Sri was mentioning, from shop houses for startups. Startups today work in co-working spaces.
Right.
Right, so the format or requirements of the real estate will change, but the requirement of real estate will always be there. In fact, you look at the hub of the whole technology industry, the Silicon Valley, has the biggest space requirements in the world.
Right.
It's one of the highest rental rates in the world, the Silicon Valley. Right? And why? Is because people like Google, people like Facebook all need property to run their business. In fact, property or real estate is the second biggest cost within the IT industry after people costs.
Right.
Right? So the requirement for real estate will just go up as IT and the digital economy requirements go up. The format or requirements of the property may change, but the requirement of property will just go up.
Right, so you're observing a trend, how this change is transforming. When you say omni-channel, what does it mean?
So when I say omni-channel, okay, that's the mode of people buying will go from just offline to online to both.
Okay.
Right, so a lot of people are thinking that online will kill shopping malls completely.
Sure.
That's not true. That's like saying online banking will kill retail banks completely. Today people go to the online banks more and more, but they still go to the retail banks to do certain types of transactions. Right? That will be the same as online actually transforms the retail industry as well.
Yeah, Ganesh. So you say that it's actually complementing. So it's actually not killing.
Yes.
But now, Tan Sri, let me just pose you this question then. If you talk about banking, the example that Ganesh gave, what about banks? Banks are all consolidating. The banks itself that are open in all the in the shop lots area, they are closing down. More and more branches are closing down. Online transactions and banking is getting very strong and popular. People don't really need to go to bank anymore. Henceforth, the landowners, the property owners have lesser potential tenants to rent out. What's your view?
Well, that's only in the banking sector.
Yes.
But if you look at it from last year onwards, there's a trend coming back. People are coming back to the mall. Because after all, we are social animal. We cannot keep on looking at the computer screen.
Right.
We still have to go out and socialize. And the trend is coming back that people, in spite of the e-commerce, are coming back to shop, to have the touch and feel, and to socialize, to meet and be outing with friends. So it is quite a very encouraging trend backwards now.
Going to the shopping mall become an experience. Right, you go to the shopping mall to enjoy the experience, right? And that experience you can't get online. So like I said, the mode and what you do may change, but the requirement of the property is still there. It's just what you do in the property that will change.
Good point, Ganesh. I like the fact that you're talking about the usage probably change, but we still need to usage and all that. Let's talk about a very interesting concept in Malaysian real estate for the past 10 years, 15 years and all that. You know, for example, the MSC status. You know, I mean, from the user perspective, it is still relevant. And I understand today there is this such thing called the digital hub instead.
Yes.
So tell us more about that from PCOM perspective.
So sure, the MSC status was there basically to incentivize IT companies to locate within designated locations because the government wanted to create clusters of these IT companies. And that's why we had MSC cyber centers and cyber cities. Now today, the IT companies also are moving away from just getting office buildings, or building office buildings or locating office buildings like in Cyberjaya to smaller nexuses or smaller locations such as co-working spaces. So the government has changed from giving incentives to just buildings to also co-working spaces. So that's what digital hubs are for.
Yeah.
So we're effectively looking at the cluster now being moved together in a smaller
because we're moving from large IT companies to startups, and startups generally locate in smaller clusters, need smaller real estate, but more of them are locating because it's just more IT companies today. So the incentives that were previously given to large cities or buildings are now given to smaller co-working spaces.
Okay, Tan Sri, your view on this?
Yeah, the thing is that technology advancement have now made it very simple and affordable to fit out any building, ready to meet all the MSC requirements. So practically every building is now capable of housing IT tenants.
Right, Tan Sri, I have a very straightforward question to you. Now, just answer me. You are a building owner as your own. So now having an MSC status company, does it command a better premium? Yes or no?
In the beginning, yes.
Right.
But
so
now it's equalized already.
The answer is?
No.
No. All right. Does it really motivate the user as well?
So today it's becoming less and less because today IT is now transcending to more than just IT, right? The digital economy is now transcending across all businesses. So that's also the reason why the government has changed from providing just MSC status to digital hub status to stay in line with the times.
Right.
And then if you look at the digital free trade zone that's coming up, that's a more warehousing-like initiative, right, in KLIA too. So to give incentives for cross-border commerce.
Right.
So IT is transforming, and as IT or the digital economy transforms, the whole economy and the whole industry also has to transform with it, including the property industry.
Right. Yeah. Thank you, gentlemen.
That's good. Now, let me just check with you, Ganesh. Now, you mentioned about the rates itself. Okay, mentioned about the interrelated. Now, Tan Sri, very quickly, you see, I see that the co-working space coming in actually will require lesser office space. When you require lesser office space, basically, you have a lot more of space when the developers build, it's going to be vacant because the office utilization is getting smaller and smaller. Same space will actually be occupied by hundreds of people. What's your view?
It's true that the intensity of use of a space has increased. But then we are looking at expanding economy and expanding IT economy, and that is where we will keep on having the need for supplying of space.
I see.
You see, what people don't realize is the whole co-working space phenomenon is not coming from the office phenomenon or even the service office phenomenon. It's coming from people working in Starbucks. Whereas 10, 15 years ago, people used to like going to work at Starbucks. They were freelancers working in Starbucks. Today, they work in co-working spaces.
Right. Thank you, gentlemen. It's getting hot in here. So we better get a break and then we'll come back after this. Okay.
Nak cari hadiah untuk Hari Ibu Bapa? Ada Jintel. Jintel Disc Pesta dengan teknologi Moon Hand Massage yang terkini memberi urutan yang menyenangkan dan selesa. Sesuai untuk ibu bapa kesayangan anda. Bawa Jintel balik rumah, ibu dan ayah pasti suka.
Jintel.
Welcome back to Bernama Property Hot Seat presented by Sun Surya. For those who have just tuned in, Vincent and Chris here together with our guests, Tan Sri Tiew President of PPK, and Mr. Ganesh Kumar, the Chairman of PICOM. Now back to our topic, gentlemen. Now Tan Sri, many malls in Malaysia are now owned by REITs, right? Owned by REITs, probably less than 5% of the total malls in the country. Do you see that this trend will actually rise?
Well, I think the REIT product is quite attractive for investors. So I reckon the REIT industry will be looking for more properties to buy into their REITs. So I guess it is a growing industry there.
Okay. The reason that more and more REITs are buying shopping malls, for example, or even office towers, is it because that the building owners, the developers are actually exiting and selling off their properties in view of market situations?
No, I think selling of property is ongoing anytime for many different reasons and circumstances. But selling to a REIT has a lot of advantages from the regulatory point of view. Okay. So it becomes attractive as an option to sell to a REIT rather than to another entity.
It's benefit or attractive to the seller or attractive to the people who actually invest on REITs?
Actually, it's attractive to both parties.
Both parties itself.
That's right.
Both parties itself.
So Tan Sri, you're saying that this is really an exit and it's an easy way out for this big asset owner now?
Well, it's one exit channel to do, but if I'm in a position or I'm in a circumstance I want to sell my property,
right?
Choosing between selling to an individual or selling to a corporation or selling to REIT, I may choose REIT because of the advantages that the regulatory has given the
Name me one of these advantages.
Tax. Stamp duty.
All right, stamp duty. So you would have some saving that you retain more for yourself.
Exactly. Yeah.
Okay, that's interesting.
Yeah.
But I suppose from the user side, Ganesh, dealing with a REITs, operated managed properties and the individual owner, is there really a big difference?
Not really.
Not really.
For user side, we just need the real estate.
Correct.
In a format that we can use. So it doesn't actually make a difference whether it's a REIT or...
So it's whether the rental is cheap enough.
Yes.
And the location is nice enough.
And
yes.
Well managed enough.
Well managed enough.
Yeah, but on that answer itself, you said that it is no difference. Now, Tan Sri, let me throw you these questions, right? See, the common thing about REITs is actually a very yield-driven kind of operational institution. So the KPI is always on percentage of returns to their investors, their shareholders, in other words. Now, compared to shopping malls or properties or that is owned by corporations or companies and non-REITs, do they tend to be a bit more flexible when they give their tenancy terms and rental rates and all that compared to REITs? Because REITs, when they hold the property, they cannot really, in my point of view, maybe Tan Sri can advise, subsidize and give low rental packages.
Well, this is all commercial decision making, right?
Okay.
Of course, REITs have their KPI. Even individual owner of a shopping center have KPIs, right? But when the realistic market hits you, you have to make some commercial decision, right? Either to help your tenant pull through together through the hard times, and whether we want to take a longer view with your tenants. If you want to, and he's a good tenant, we want to see him through together.
Yeah. Now, Tan Sri, one more question that is important to consumers in relation to shopping malls, and sometimes applicable to the mall, to the office blocks itself. Now, I'm always puzzled why, for example, when touch and go, when the users like us, we go into a shopping mall, and then when we pay for our parking charges, for example, but we are charged approximately about 10% over and above of the parking rates itself. Why is this so? Why is the shopping malls allowing or adopting this? Does the money go to the shopping mall?
No, actually, the industry have been complaining to Bank Negara and to the Monopoly Commission since 2017.
Yes.
It is an anomaly which we do not quite understand, because under the Bank Negara rule, the consumer is not supposed to pay any surcharge for using a debit card or credit card. The merchant that gives the facility will be charged by the bank. So how did this 10% surcharge being loaded onto the consumer is something we were trying to complain about.
Right, Tan Sri.
Secondly, Bank Negara regulation says the merchant can only be charged certain percentage for a credit card and a debit card. And it's only 1.1% maximum for debit cards. So how did they raise it to 10% is something we have been trying to get it corrected.
So Tan Sri, you're all for open market and fair play in that sense, and not over-exorbitant. So I'm going to take on Ganesh's point on this one just before we took a break. Just now you talk about DFTZ, right? So what is Peacock role in supporting the whole DFTZ? Is it really going to beneficial Malaysia, or is it really used as a transmission point, again, like a rent-seeking to somewhere else?
Sure, I think the digital free trade zone has got a few components. The physical component in KLIA2 is basically a transshipment hub, right, where Alibaba is using it as a central location to distribute goods around the region, right? And that is beneficial to us, because if there are more goods located in the country, then the logistic players will just benefit. The warehouses will benefit, right? Even the property actually will benefit as well if we are the transshipment hub where all goods being distributed across the region over e-commerce is through our country. And then what happens is the cost of shipping goes down. When the cost of shipping goes down to our country, then the cost of goods that we buy also go down, right? Because logistic contributes 10% of e-commerce costs.
Right. Ganesh, you mentioned just now about Alibaba. I'm just wondering, when you talk about DFTZ, is it they are the only user or real beneficiary you're talking about?
No,
or not really?
There are more users than just Alibaba. It's just that Alibaba is the anchor user because they're the biggest player in the world today, right?
Okay.
So because they're the biggest player in the world, the government, of course, decided to engage with Alibaba because they can be the anchor tenant to the digital free trade zone. But the government's also opening up to more than just Alibaba. And we've also been encouraging the government to open up to local players as well.
Thank you, gentlemen. Thank you, Tan Sri, and thank you, Ganesh, for your sharing today. It has been very valuable, and we really appreciate your sharing on this platform with us today in this show. Join us next week for another VIP taking our hot seat. Vincent and Chris, signing out.